Hi, my name's Nick Taylor. I just managed to get an arrow into one of my target bucks, so I'm just gonna head in and get my hands on him.
Our hunters are back in their tree stands, and they're on the hunt for big, beautiful Alberta whitetails.
Yeah, that's the keeper. Look at the size of that thing.
Welcome to Bowzone Live. Bowzone Live is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Aventura, Annihilator, Bronc Beer, Hex, Lone Wolf Taxidermy, Lowdown Viewer, Moultrie Products, Onyx Maps, Portable Winch Co., Timber Stoves, and Wild TV Plus.
Welcome to Bowzone Live. It is episode 3 of season 5. I'm your host, Tom Gazzola. Great to have you here, and we've got a tremendous show for you once again. We're going to catch up with Zach Brown, and then we're going to also talk with Nick Taylor from Lone Wolf, but here in studio, once again, it's her yearly appearance as my co-host. That's usually a good sign. It is Heather Wilson. Heather, welcome back. I know how much you love co-hosting in studio.
It's good to be here. Nice to see you, Tom.
Great to have you. We've got lots to talk about today. Kevin, your husband, did a fantastic job in episode 2.
Yep.
Now we've got to one-up him, obviously, right?
Well, obviously.
It's not going to take much. Heather's the best. All right. If you haven't watched Bowzone Live before, you'll know that Heather does great work with the camera, obviously with the bow as well. And most seasons, pretty much, 3 out of 4, we've been successful harvesting a buck?
Yeah, up to this point, yep.
Up to
3
this
out of
point.
4. But
Yes.
this is season 5, so.
Well, we'll find out more, obviously. But you're also an ICU nurse, and that's what I'm saying is if people haven't watched episodes of Bowzone Live in seasons past, maybe they didn't know that. So how do you balance, Heather, being a nurse, saving lives, and then finding time to go and trying to harvest a buck every Bowzone season?
It's funny. Actually, I get people that say, you hunt, but you're nice. You're so nice.
The nicest. Yeah.
Generally speaking, now that my kids are older, they're adults, it's made my schedule a lot less hectic. I don't have to worry about them as much. But Kevin and I often sit down at the beginning of the season and decide kind of what we're hunting or where we would like to hunt and kind of time frames roughly. I have to put my vacation requests in for February, so it makes me kind of think that way.
Right.
But I take most of my vacation in the fall, and when I have a conflict, the nice thing about nursing is I can trade shifts.
Right.
So that kind of helps free it up a little bit.
You and Kev are a bit of a team. I know you
Bit
got
of
to
a
deal
team.
with them at home. You raise kids together.
Yep.
How has that changed over the years, working with Kev on trying to find your own bucks, your own target bucks, and then when you guys are successful, how does that all work, and how has that kind of changed over the years?
I think when I first started hunting, Kev kind of thought I would be less involved. I think it kind of surprised him that he kind of woke up this lion in me for wanting to hunt.
Did he ever?
But he also was smart in that he wanted me to know how to hunt so that I wasn't 100% dependent on him, and so he taught me a lot of stuff at his own sacrifice for a lot of years. But now he refers to me as his favorite hunting partner, and it's likewise. We really enjoy hunting together and doing things together.
It does show up on camera, and we do see it on screen, and we're looking forward to seeing more of it this season. All right, Heather, taking a look at conditions, they are changing. We talked about how it was going to get colder. We're looking at some minus 10s to minus 14, minus 15 as a low there.
Yep.
Overnights are getting down, dipping to minus 20. When you see that, are you thinking this is go time for our hunters?
I'm thinking I would be very excited, and in the next few days you're going to want to be in the stand for sure. I think bucks are going to be on their feet and moving. That snow that's in the forecast, I know it keeps bumping along, but if it actually happens, I think will be gold. I think it'll make it a lot more visible for us to be able to see deer, because right now it's brown on brown, it's a little harder. that differentiation, and I think the bucks will be moving.
I like that. That sounds good because that means more prizes for our hunters. And we also want to give you, our viewer, a prize pack in particular. Score a Bowzone Live prize pack. So head on over to Wild TV's Instagram for your chance to win Lowdown Viewer Aventura self-heated drinks as well, along with an Annihilator hat and some broadheads. You can also hit that QR code on your screen right there to scan to enter. And we want to hook you up with some stuff from all of us here at Bowzone Live. All right, Heather, we're going to go behind the bow with you shortly, but we're looking at your work behind the camera lens here. You got some great shots. What are we looking at? Is this your target buck here?
That is, I have target bucks on different properties, but that was definitely one of them, yes.
All right, great shooting, not just with the bow, but with the camera as well. We're off and running here on Bowzone Live. Time now to go behind the bow with Heather Wilson.
Behind the Bow with Heather Wilson.
Alaska moose, there's always a big draw for me, those big moose coming in. Sheep hunt, I wouldn't mind going to New Zealand. One, there's no predators there, and two, red stag and all that stuff would be really fun to hunt. Early season, just visibility-wise, and when the leaves come off the trees, I think it gets very noisy and harder to conceal your entry and exit into the bush. Mostly it's making sure that my bow is on and that I'm shooting where I want to be shooting with the gear I'm wearing. Heated vest. Heated vest saves me because I don't turn it on until I start to feel a chill. And then once I get a little bit of a chill, I know that I need to turn it on, and then it actually gives you that little boost, like you can just keep sitting. I like to take in a piece of carpet or underlay and stand on that, especially when the snow is, if it's snowing, so that I don't make noise if I'm turning on stand, and then you don't get where a deer is walking by and you move and you get a crunchy sound on stand. I would say just get out there and do stuff, and you'll learn. You'll learn what works and what doesn't.
Behind the Bow with Heather Wilson.
Welcome back inside the Bowzone Live studios. Tom Gazzola with Heather Wilson as we roll along here. Nice little catch up with Heather earlier in the show. We went behind the bow with you, which was great. And Heather, we kind of touched on it a little bit. You've had some great hunts on this show, and you've shown us some great stuff as well. What stands out to you about what you've been able to accomplish on Bowzone Live?
I don't know. I think I've been blessed in that I've just had the opportunities that I've had, and hopefully made the best of them.
You have? Yes.
I don't always shoot the biggest buck, but I shoot kind of what I like, and that's okay. I kind of like that. I like going in there and not necessarily having a specific buck that I'm after, and kind of being a surprise to me too.
Well, you did have a bit of a surprise this year.
I did,
I know
yeah.
you talked about your target buck as well.
Yeah.
Give us a quick look ahead to what we're about to see, because it's a full body of work here, including what you've done this year.
Yeah, I kind of explain it in my pack, but I definitely, this year I did have a target buck on different properties that for sure if I had seen them I would have shot. And this footage, I get to spend about 10 minutes with one of my target bucks. You don't see that because of course, I mean, we're limited for time. But I got a really good look at him, and the pack will kind of be self-explanatory as to why, you know, I say I got a good look at him.
Right. Great tease, Heather. Great tease. Pro. She's a pro. Let's take a look at what Heather Wilson has been able to accomplish over the years, including this year.
Well, it's opening morning. I'm super excited to be sitting in a tree. It's beautiful out here. There was just a slight south wind this morning, and now there's almost nothing. I had 5 bucks come through. The first 2 were the biggest, and it was before legal and too dark. I couldn't get them with the camera. I tried, but the other 3 walked probably about 20 yards in front of my stand, so I got some decent footage of them. But really cool to be out again. Excited for this season. just sitting in one of my tree stands, calling for moose. And 3 bucks came out together. In a clearing not far from where I'm sitting. One is heavier 4x4, one's a smaller buck that's hanging with them, and the other one might be my target buck. I call him Lefty. He's 5x4, but he's lefty because he's 5 on the left. And very cool to watch them, just relaxed and feeding. Well, it's October 29th, and it's been colder this morning. I think it was -2, -3, but I'm gonna try rattling here in a few minutes. See what happens. So, I rattled, and that big boy came in. I probably would have shot him, but I forgot my rangefinder this morning, so I'm trying to stick a little closer. I don't want to take a long shot and be wrong and then wound an animal, so. Lessons learned. Makes me kind of sad, actually. He's a beautiful buck. He probably won't score well, but he's a funky deer, and I kind of like him. When you rattle, it can be a good thing or a bad thing, and it's cool that they come in, but they come in expecting to see something, and if they don't see it, sometimes they can get a little spooked. Well, it's the first real snow with any accumulation. Had a little 4x4 go by this morning. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet. You can see the deer now, but can't hear them very well, so hopefully more deer will move. I just shot a buck.
Well, here he is. 28-yard shot. I made a good shot. He only went about 40 yards. Unfortunately, this is a case of mistaken identity. There's another buck that I rattled in a few days ago, and I forgot my rangefinder, and I hadn't hunted the property in a while. I didn't feel comfortable taking the shot, so I waited. And tonight it was about 10 minutes left of legal, and he came in, started raking the tree, and then when he started to move and I was trying to film, I made a judgment call, and this is a beautiful buck. It's just not the buck that I was aiming for this year. So my buck is to live another year,
And another buck down, Bowzone live.
Another great video from Heather Wilson, who's joining us here in studio on Bowzone Live. And Heather, I know before the break we were talking about how you were throwing a bit of a curveball with your target buck. You saw one, as we saw in the video, like, it looked really similar, but you're dealing with some adverse conditions. When you look back on that, how do you like the way you handled that situation?
I think it took me a day to process it, just because I had a specific goal with that buck. But thinking back, I mean, the hunt itself was actually a really good hunt. I made a good shot. My buck went about 40 yards. I just didn't get the buck that I was after.
Right.
So that's the only thing that changed.
But you were saying, and this was, and I'm glad we're bringing this up, because you were saying that that buck looked a lot like your target buck and similar genes, correct?
Well, it had similar configuration to the antlers, and it looks really bright on there, but in reality, the camera makes it look brighter than it was because it was about 10 minutes left of legal.
And what are you looking at when you're losing time and then you're not sitting there with an HD screen in
No,
front
and
of you?
I'm 54, so my eyes in low light, sometimes, it's becoming more of a thing, and you have to really concentrate. I was trying to zoom in my camera, and I'm looking at a screen that's probably 2.5 by 3 to see if this is my buck. But ultimately, I made a decision, and that's what hunting is. It's a bunch of quick decisions, and I will own that. And I shot a nice buck. It's not the buck that I was wanting, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I made a really good shot, and my buck went down really quickly. So
You're not disappointed.
I'm not disappointed. I'm disappointed that I didn't get the buck I wanted.
Right. Okay.
But the hunt itself, absolutely, I'm happy with that.
What are you planning on doing in the next little while here now that you've tagged out? Like, give us a little scoop and look ahead, because I know you and Kevin are always busy.
Yeah, well, Kev's sitting hunting mule deer, and I have actually shot a mule deer, and we may or may not see that footage at some point. But I still have a moose tag, and I still have an elk tag. So the chances of running into an elk where I hunt is probably slim, but I would really like to shoot a moose.
Okay, we would really like to see that. I just want to say that. I always like seeing everybody and their different hunts, not just in the Bowzone, but scattered throughout. But Heather, great job once again. The no nails this year too.
No,
What
I
happened?
didn't.
Come on, that became a thing.
I was gonna get them done, but I just kind of ran out of time. I shot a little earlier than,
Put some nails on Kevin.
Yeah.
We've got Zach Brown coming up here as we tease. Maybe put some nails on Zach Brown, but great shots here. We'll catch up with him, more with Heather Wilson on Bowzone Live. It's a fun show. Always great to have Heather in studio. Zach Brown coming up, and we'll find out what that man is up to, because he's a busy boy too, just like all of our hunters here on Bowzone Live.
So I switched to Annihilators, I think, before we actually got them as a sponsor, but these broadheads are by far one of the most durable, accurate, and lethal broadheads on the market. They are field point accurate, very little tuning is required to get these things to fly straight, and they leave giant holes in game.
Behind the Bow with Keith McDonald.
My number one is Alaskan bull moose archery hunt, a whitetail hunt in Illinois or Kansas, and then obviously Rocky Mountain Round. I'd rather be in a dry -40 than a wet -2. I try to get to the gym quite a bit because you need to be physically in good shape to sit in a tree stand in -40 for 8 hours. The days of going to check your trail cameras every couple days, maybe having to change batteries, changing SD cards and all that is gone. You can just get a text right to your phone and you can see exactly what's happening in the woods, and that's obviously the best upgrade I've seen. A lot of young hunters, they see a flash out of their eye and they automatically go like this and they're looking. Minimize your movement and be patient. That's my biggest tip to anybody who's bow hunting. For me, a big one, it's kind of funny if you don't know, but owls. If I see an owl, I don't care what day, what could be the best day of the year. If I see an owl, I'm not going to hunt in that area. I'm climbing down to my tree stand and I'm going somewhere else. Shoot your bow. Make sure everything is in working order before you go and climb that tree stand. And I like to have a checklist as well, so I know exactly that I don't get into my stand and I forget something important.
Behind the Bow with Keith McDonald.
All right, you saw Keith McDonald in Behind the Bow, our feature that we run here on Bowzone Live, and we had a look back at some of Keith's videos from previous years on our last show, and we did have some viewer feedback that there was a shot of baiting in the feature. We just wanted to say that those shots were from Saskatchewan, where baiting is legal, and we really appreciate the feedback. Thanks for that, and as always, from all of us here at Bowzone Live, keep that feedback coming in because it shows that everybody cares and that we know everybody's watching. All right, back to the main focus, that is harvesting bucks, and we looked at what Heather was able to accomplish as we welcome in Zach Brown, who's a busy guy as well. And Zach, let's get up to speed on what you've been up to, because I know you're busy with your own hunting, and then you're also working and helping out others. Get us up to speed on what's going on in Zach Brown's life right now.
Yeah, so I'm working with Gunther, who we're all familiar with, and he runs Wizard Lake Outfitting. And last week we had a bunch of hunters up here, 4 to be exact. It was a tough hunt. It didn't seem like the bucks were moving as much. This week, though, was a different story. We're seeing a lot more mature bucks running in daylight. We had a hunter within 50 yards of a real big buck we've been after for the last couple of years. No shot, unfortunately. And my own personal hunting kind of fits around that. Obviously, when I'm guiding, I can't be hunting, but there's little days here and there that work out, and I'm hoping this weekend I can get out for a day or two. Supposed to be some snow, so hopefully get the tree stand and spend some time in there.
There's some things that we want to hit on with you and Heather, and permissions is one thing that I know you got excited and you perked up when we were talking about that. Heather, what would you bring up to our audience? What would you ask Zach about permissions, how he goes about it, how you and Kev go about it? Because right away you're like, well, this, and this I think we should hit on. So I'll let you tee it up.
I just think that our viewers are interested in how we set up for our hunts. And when we get a new property, what are the things that you like to do first to get yourself ready and figure it out?
I think something I've kind of overlooked is talking to the landowner. I mean, some landowners don't hunt, so sometimes their perspective is a little different than mine. But they live there, and it's interesting stuff that I might overlook, but they're like, hey, I see a lot of the deer in this corner of the area. And from, satellite imaging or tracks and stuff, or maybe things that I think I know, it surprises me. So that's something I usually always ask is, where do you see the deer? Which maybe sounds simple, but I think as hunters, you think you kind of have it figured out, but it's good to get that local knowledge, and someone living there is someone that can tell you that.
Well, I know Kev and I, we often start even with a topo map and kind of figure out where bedding areas could be, if there's like ridges or water sources, how things intersect. And then we'll go walk the property and see if there's trails and maybe downed trees that could block movement, that kind of stuff, before we set up our tree stands. And I'm just curious if you're, kind of similar in that manner.
Yeah, I mean, walking is important, and I think even like the natural terrain, right? Sometimes you have these high ridges that kind of, have a drop down, and the deer naturally kind of funnel. Setting up cameras and kind of confirm some ideas you might have. Even just sitting, like sometimes I'll set up a tree stand that I know I can see a lot of activity. It might not be like a good spot that I might hunt from, but just use it as like a fun sit, and then you start to see how deer move, because this year we haven't had the snow, so your trail system is a little bit kind of thrown out the window. And sitting can kind of get you an idea of being like, oh, I never knew that this is how the deer move. But walking it is a nice one. And I think walking in different directions and with, different times of day can definitely give you different lights and insights into where the deer are at.
I agree. I also think depending on what time of the season, like if you're early season or mid-season or late season, things can shift. And like you said, it's important to walk it and have your cameras and kind of figure out what the trails are doing and that kind of stuff, for sure.
I will ask you guys this, as the newbie in all of this, even though we're in season 5 here, with permissions, having those relationships with the landowners, can that go sideways sometimes? And do you need to maintain a healthy relationship with the landowners? Like, has that happened in the past? I know this sounds ridiculous maybe to some, but I'm like, maybe a landowner doesn't like what you did. What would you say? Is that part of the game too, Zach?
Yeah, I mean it's different from our regard too. Like we're guiding, which is a whole other different side of the coin. But when I'm personally hunting, every landowner is different. Every relationship is different. Some landowners don't care as much or don't really want to know of what's going on. Some people want to know when you're on the property, where you're going, where your stands are. And I think just like being on the same page as them is very important. Because yeah, I mean, I've had situations where maybe I did something that I thought we were all on the same page where, and I got like, oh no, you can't be parking there. And as a hunter, you're like, oh crap, maybe I'm going to lose this permission because I pissed off the landowner. So you learn from those little things, and it's like, yeah, you always want to make sure you're on the same page and make sure you're doing what you should and not doing what you shouldn't. But yeah, it's a special relationship, right? I mean, these people kind of hold the key to these areas that we hunt, and some of these properties you get to know in years and years, and you definitely don't want to do anything that jeopardizes that.
Yeah, well said, and I'm glad I asked. I really sincerely do.
It's a good question.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's why he's a good teammate, Zach Brown. He's
yeah.
great to have. All right, speaking of which, we're pumping him up because we're going to see some highlights and take a look back at also great moments from what Zach Brown has been up to in the Bowzone and abroad. So more with Zach Brown coming up here on Bowzone Live. Which season featured the most successful hunts?
The season I didn't shoot.
We're going to go 2021.
I'm torn between season 2 and season 3.
So that would be season 4.
Where would you lean?
Season 3.
The year we killed Ricky and I shot mine and all that stuff.
Season 2 was insane. It was like big buck after big buck after big buck. Yeah. We started a little early, like the hot streak was a little early, but I think we were on a roll that season.
Was that 2?
That was 2, I believe.
2, I think. Season 2, yeah. Season 2 was pretty loaded. We had Daryl Legge's super giant. I shot a giant. Logan shot a giant. Everybody else shot deer. It was like totally crazy. Go back and watch that on the Wild TV app.
Well, welcome to Bowzone Live Season 5. And, yeah, the farmer's just finishing up here. He was just disking all this up before it freezes. There's still no snow, which is ridiculous. Global warming is definitely happening. So if you guys could stop doing that stuff that brings on global warming, that'd be great. So we would have snow on the ground, and then we'd have more activity. Because deer move when there's snow, metabolism, photosynthesis, chlorophyll, the nuclei, all that stuff kind of happens, which is what's needed to kill a big buck. So, yeah. There's not much going on my cameras. It seemed like if I was hunting October 20th to the 22nd, I would have killed my target buck. Season would have been over. But because I did not do that, I am now suffering a lot. But not really, but kind of. It's just annoying because there hasn't been any deer to film at all. No does, no bucks in the last couple of weeks. There is a buck I'm after that has Q buck with cool brow points and junk on his bases. That's it. Battery's gonna die. I need to save it for when I kill a big deer. Okay, bye.
Well, I just got a few mornings to hunt basically because I'm busy in the afternoons. I'm going to be doing a lot of guiding in the Bowzone this year, working with Gunther. He runs Wizard Lake Outfitting. So the majority of November I'm going to be busy, hopefully helping clients get some of these deer. The issue I can see already is that I am going to be getting my cameras going off while I am guiding, which then I cannot go hunting. And I'm going to be screaming at my phone knowing that if I was sitting in this stand or that stand, I would have been tagged out by now. Yeah, there's actually a deer I'm after this year. You guys may remember it from last year. I call it story time because if I'm going to tell you about it, it's going to probably be a story. Long story short, deer came in at 17 yards, ducked my arrow, and survived. I believe 2/3 of my arrow is inside of that deer. It is scarred up. I've got a few videos of it. I haven't got the scar side of it yet, so I'm excited to see what will happen there and if it actually still is visible. Maybe the arrow's out, I don't know, but regardless, I think I have a vendetta against this deer. I think I need to get after it. I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of nice deer that are running through here, but I think I'm going to be holding off for that deer, which is so tough because there's probably bigger deer out there. I know there is, but I really want to seal the deal on that. Yeah, so I littered. I know we talk a lot about cell cameras and stuff, and I've littered the area, just trying to get an idea of where it's going and which path it's taking within the property. And even if I don't get a chance to hunt it or kill it, at least next year I'll even have a better understanding of maybe areas that it frequents. So if I do have to set up early season or later in the season, I just know that a little more information, and it's gonna give me more confidence to kill a deer. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to.
Oh boy, now it's personal with Zach Brown and story time, because we were watching that pack, and I remember as soon as I saw the buck jump through the barbed wire, I was like, oh yeah, now Zach's he's a little bit angry. So hey, I hope you get a big buck this year, but if you complete this story, we're kind of into sequel mode here. Would that be the cherry on top for you, or are you okay with anything here, Zach?
I don't know. I've passed some decent deer that I think some people have been like, oh, you should have shot that deer. And I'm so close, and I think if I get a couple days in the stand, the deer literally this morning went by that same tree stand that you saw the footage from last year. So I know he's back, and I know he's regular. As the season goes on, they're getting dumber and dumber, looking for those last few does. So I'm going to probably hold off.
Heather, you brought up something too, because we're looking at the placement of that shot, and we're talking a little bit off camera with Zach, and you're blown away by the fact that that buck's still running around, and we're going, where the heck is the rest of that arrow?
Well, I mean, Zach said it went into the far shoulder, which makes sense. And the only thing I can think is that it went through a void of some sort. I don't know if Zach has some intel on that, but it's weird that it didn't take out at least part of a lung.
I mean, all I can say is that obviously I did not make the right shot, and it did not work out because that deer is still alive. But yes, it was great until it started to duck the sound of my, I guess it would have been my D loop coming out of my release. So, yeah.
All right, Zach, it's going to get colder. We saw the little bio lesson you gave us at the top of that pack, which was great. But how are you looking at the weekend coming up conditions-wise? Maybe a bit more snow. I don't know if dusting is fair. It depends where you are in the Bowzone, but how are you approaching this weekend?
I think it's just the ability to be able to see the deer sooner. Where we're sitting, I mean, everything looks like a deer. So to be able to sit and to see that deer 70 yards out, 50 yards out, opposed to 20 or 30, it gives you that much more time to prepare and that much more time to hopefully make a better shot that isn't in a void.
Zach, happy hunting, my friend. Have fun guiding as well. I know that's hard work, but hopefully we're talking to you soon, hopefully by next week, about another beautiful buck taken down in the Bowzone. Thanks for doing this, my friend.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Good luck, Zach.
Love it.
Thanks, Ed.
Great stuff there from Zach Brown. Hopefully he's got some more stories for us, or puts an end to story time, Heather. That's
yeah, I think that's what he's going for.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, we'll keep tabs on Zach, certainly on Bowzone Live. Also now, we're going to find out a little bit more and hear a bit more about one of our great sponsors, Onyx.
So the Onyx guys have been sponsoring Bowzone Live for a couple of years now, and it's a great piece of kit to have with you. It gives you your wind direction, it gives you the ability to mark all your tree stands, mark all your cameras, but I think probably the coolest thing about it is the route mapping. So if you're out by Hinton and you're back in the mountains and you see a herd of sheep, right? You see a couple of big legal rams you want to get to, but you're not sure how to get to them. It actually has the capability to plan your route for you. So it's the easiest route for you to get where you want to go. What's really cool about it too, if you've got a newer vehicle, the app is actually available for Android Auto. So you can use it to navigate in your vehicle, you can use it for all kinds of different things. Way too many for me to go into in a 30-second to a minute talk, but check it out, download it, do the trial, see what you think. I've used it for the last few years, it's been awesome. I'm sure you'll like it too.
All right, we roll along here on Bowzone Live. Tom Gazzola with Heather Wilson live inside the Wild TV studios. Heather, it's been a fun show. We touched base with Zach Brown, got some good information, took a look at the upcoming forecast. We'll do that one more time later on in the show. We saw what you've been up to. It's been another fun show. What are you liking about today so far?
I think it's just good variety of information, and I'm hoping that the viewers will find something that they can use and yeah, go from there.
Highly entertaining, obviously, as usual. Great co-host, as always. I think you bring it up every time. You crank it up a notch or two. It's been great. I know you're so subdued, but it's always great to have you in studio because you're one of our best hunters. So it's fun to have you in studio as we roll along here on Bowzone Live. We got to bring in someone else now. Nick Taylor from Lone Wolf Taxidermy. Nick, we're joking around in studio here, having some fun. It's been another great show, but how has your hunting season gone? And tell us a little bit about Lone Wolf and what you do, because you've been a partner here for a couple of years.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, this hunting season, it's been it was a little tame here right up until recently. A little bit of frustration. Patience was key on my hunt. Seeing lots of decent bucks coming in and just kind of watching them do their thing. So that's been good, and yeah, and then was finally able to connect with one. So that was nice.
Yeah, we will be seeing a little bit of that shortly here, but give us a backgrounder on Lone Wolf. Like I mentioned, we've partnered up for the last couple of years, but what can you tell us for those that might be curious and might want to touch base with you and get in on your services?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Lone Wolf Taxidermy, we're located in Spruce Grove. We offer taxidermy services for mammals and birds. We don't do fish, I guess, but yeah, we and then the other side of the business is that we sell supplies all across Canada, a little bit into the U.S. and a little bit into Europe. So yeah, that's kind of the busy part of the business. But definitely the taxidermy services side, that keeps us going pretty steady as well.
Heather, what would you ask Nick, who's in the taxidermy business? Because you're no stranger to this. I know you said you haven't had anything mounted in a little while, but
yeah,
what kind of things would you
Kevin
pick?
and I have been doing more Euro mount stuff lately, right. But I don't know, like I'm out of touch with the pricing and that kind of stuff. That's usually what people talk about, how much things cost, especially in the last few years. But yeah, I don't know.
I think
pricing can range. So I speak to lots of different taxidermists across Canada, and it's we live in a good province for taxidermy as far as making a living for it. Out east, it's significantly cheaper, but yeah, it definitely ranges. Like there's people are getting mounts done out east as cheap as $400 and $500, and then you get out here and like that's for a whitetail, and then out here anywhere between $700 to $1,500 for a whitetail shoulder mount.
Speaking of a shoulder mount, we've given that away over the last couple of years. Without giving everything away here, Nick, what can you tell us about what we're about to see from you and this buck?
I think it's a good one. Like, um, it's a contender, but it's gonna be offered up to any of those hunters. So
I like that. I think you might have even dropped a line in this story coming up here. So let's take a look at Nick Taylor's work with the bow, not necessarily doing his taxidermy thing.
Hi, my name's Nick Taylor. I just managed to get an arrow into one of my target bucks, so I'm just gonna head in and get my hands on him. Sitting through the afternoon hunt here. Actually had a bird poop on my arm, and apparently that's good luck. And then 15 minutes later, heard this guy starting to come in behind me, and had to take a bit of a sneaky shot. Got it done. He went about 40 yards. And yeah, rest is history. Been watching this guy for a while. He passed on several other bucks. Sure glad I did. So yeah, pretty happy with this whitetail. As a part of the sponsorship of Bowzone Live, whoever shoots the biggest buck gets a free shoulder mount. So maybe I'll save myself some money here, and I'll get to do my own. So this is a pretty good baseline or standard. So here we go. Got them all loaded up, so we're gonna drag them out, get them into the truck, and get this guy caped out and hanging. So we go.
Big, beautiful buck there from Nick Taylor out of Lone Wolf Taxidermy. And Nick, I know you were joking about maybe that's the winner that's going to get the shoulder mount, but come on, man, you're disqualified. You can't do that. You can't take the grand prize like that. But as I kid, what would you say about that buck and the hunt itself?
yeah, no, I couldn't be happier with it. I had seen him on the hoof a few times. I got a couple different pictures of him. Only one I was certain where I could ID him. So yeah, I had rattled in a few the past couple weeks. Tempted to send an arrow a few times, but I knew what else was out there, so I just kind of held out and moved stands a couple times. And yeah, that day I think there was 15 minutes left of light, and he came in behind me. Sneaky little shot. He was kind of quartered to me, and it was kind of a now or never, because the way their path goes, he would have been quartered away, and I had a branch, and all of the variables against me. So anyways, snuck it in, actually in behind his shoulder blade, like almost from above. So it was a little bit of a tricky shot, but got her done. So
Heather,
and I'm not a good shot.
Yeah, exactly. What are you curious about Nick's hunt? What would you ask him? I know we didn't get to see footage of him in the stand and anything, but what would you ask him?
How long did you pattern him, you said?
Well, probably since the beginning of this season. I've seen him before from previous seasons, but I recently gained access to another neighboring piece of property, so I was kind of able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, kind of where they're moving. So it's been an ongoing learning process.
Nicely done, Nick. Listen, congratulations on the beautiful buck. We're going to keep you around for a little bit longer if that's okay. You cool with that?
Right on.
All right, Nick Taylor from Lone Wolf Taxidermy. We've got a great question for him coming up right after the break here on Bowzone Live. Welcome back to Bowzone Live. Tom Gazzola, Heather Wilson inside the Wild TV studios, and we're still joined by Nick Taylor from Lone Wolf Taxidermy. And Nick, we saw your beautiful buck a little bit earlier. We talked about the hunt. That was fantastic. A little bit of information about your business, but Heather actually had a great question, because for some that might not know what you would like to have done before you get to do what you do best, Heather brought up a couple of good points.
Well, I just thought there's a lot of viewers out there who are curious what taxidermists actually prefer when they're bringing in an animal and they know they're going to get it a shoulder mount or something done. What do you recommend? There's questions about salting, not salting, how far down do you like the cape, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question, common question. So yeah, what I recommend is definitely behind the shoulders. I often tell people just to go about half to three quarters of the way back of the body or the rib cage. And then, you know, there's lots there for us to work with. And then you can cut around the top joint of the front leg and then do a slit up the back of the leg and then go straight to the back of, so I don't know, I'll try and, you would go up the back of the front leg, and then when you get to the top of the armpit, you would go straight back towards the hind end of the deer. I don't know if that helps. That was kind of an impromptu, but yeah, the more the merrier. As far as salting goes, yeah, don't salt it. If you're gonna bring it in, just put it in the freezer and let it freeze completely, because the salt will prevent it from thoroughly freezing. So,
Nick, I have one more to follow up on that. Are there any things that you see that when you have an animal coming in, you're like, oh my goodness, and your eyes just roll to the back of their head, and you go, please don't do that ever again? What would you recommend?
Yeah, there's a few. If it's a bear, or even just, yeah, it could be, yeah, a bear. So if they want to do a bear half mount or shoulder mount, they cut it all the way up the front, right to the lip. That's preventable. And then with a deer, when they cut up the middle of the brisket, where that nice little faux hawk or mohawk or whatever you want to call it between the armpits, when they have multiple cuts in the middle of there, it's because it's kind of like a showpiece of the mount. So just more sewing, and we don't really like to sew.
Okay. I'm glad I asked. Nick, great stuff. Thank you for the information, first of all, and then the great footage of the buck that you took down. Lone Wolf Taxidermy, go out and find you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Nick Taylor from Lone Wolf Taxidermy. Great stuff from him. Heather, we're going to do weather with you one more time as we say goodbye to Nick. Conditions, like we said, getting colder. We're liking this. We heard from Zach Brown earlier. You're seeing it's dipping into -10 to the -15 range for daytime highs, -20 into the overnight lows. Again, what would you reiterate for the hunters?
Well, I'd be excited. I wouldn't be excited to sit necessarily in it in the morning, but I would be excited that the deer should be moving. The cold temperature will get them on their feet. If we get snow, like Zach said, it'll make them more visible. So overall, I think that's great. I'd be excited.
All right, hopefully that leads to a couple of people tagging out on this show. Also coming up right away here, we're going to catch up with Kevin Wilson and a little bit of tree stand safety right here on Bowzone Live.
Behind the Bow with Chase Kohler.
I want to go to New Zealand, and with my dad, he's going to go, and I want to shoot one of those, a stag. I want to shoot a whitetail in the Bowzone. I haven't shot one yet. Hardest conditions, I think the heat. The heat's bad. I think my dad had a heat stroke hunting for rams or something like that, so I heard the heat's really bad, so yeah. I like to eat right before I go. You know, I go to the washroom, get dressed, try and get in the zone, maybe a little meditate or something, and then when I'm in the stand, I want to be as quiet as I can. I walk in, take 5 steps, stop, look around, see if there's deer, and yeah, get in the stand. Joel Turner's release actually gave it to me. It's got a click, and then you shoot it, and it doesn't go around your wrist. It's just you hold it in your hand. I think that'd be it. When you're about to shoot, I think you should scream, aim as loud as you possibly can in your head, and I think that's worked for me.
Behind the Bow with Chase Kohler.
I'm Heather Wilson. I guess I've been hunting for a long time, close to 30 years now, and bow hunting for 20-something of that. So I have noticed a lot of changes in the hunting world for women, and I think the biggest change for me has been in the fact that we can shoot pretty much any bow that the guys shoot now. It used to be that there was all youth bows, or they would class them as women's bows, but Kevin and I actually shoot the same bow. So this is a Hoyt RX-8, it's a carbon bow, and it shoots very accurately. And the biggest thing that I like about these bows is When I started archery hunting, it felt like you had to aim for the stars when you were shooting 40 yards initially, because you just didn't have that kinetic energy and the ability for the arrows to fly distance. So now with the changes they've made in the bows and the limbs, you can get a 40, 50-pound bow for a girl in the exact same bow that like your husband hunts with. It just works really well, and it allows you to shoot farther more accurately, and it's a little bit more forgiving that way. Find something that's comfortable to shoot, that's accurate, that you have confidence in, and then get out there and just go have fun.
You know, these days it's really critical to be using a lifeline and a safety harness. There's no reason any bow hunter should ever be hunting without a harness and a lifeline. And essentially what this is, it just attaches to the top of the tree. There's a Prusik knot, and quite literally your harness clips into it like this, and it just slides up the line with you, so you're attached and you're safe from the time you leave the ground to the time you come back down.
Welcome back. Well, you might have seen Taylor Thompson off the top of the show, and his story is excellent. He had a big buck. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Taylor in today, so you'll see that in an upcoming episode, and we'll obviously catch up with Taylor as well. Heather, it's been a lot of fun. We have another fun show coming up as well. Ryan Kohler and his son Chase have a neat story that goes back to 2020, and they have Blair St. Martin involved, so we're going to see that. And then you coming in today just like a natural, old pro. Well done once again.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It's always fun. Big thank you to Nick Taylor and Zach Brown as well, my co-host. Tremendous as always. Great to see her tag out here in the Bowzone and on Bowzone Live for Heather Wilson and the rest of the crew here at Wild TV and Bowzone Live. I'm Tom Gazzola saying thanks for watching. We'll see you next show.
Bowzone Live is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Aventura, Annihilator, Bronc Beer, Hex, Lone Wolf Taxidermy, Lowdown Viewer, Moultrie Products, Onyx Maps, Portable Winch Co., Timber Stoves, and Wild TV Plus.